And before that, I talked to Mike Hussey as well. So yeah, I mean, in this lockdown, I have got to talk some really good people who have played cricket or who are associated with cricket. And but I mean, previously, as you know, that I'm mostly uh, covering cricket. As you said that I met you three times. Yeah, actually, I remember that game, Pakistan West Indies, Pakistan versus West Indies at the Oval. It was quite cloudy, and Pakistan actually, I think they were doing well. Um, but some loose shots by Nasir Jimshed and some other players. Misbah, he scored 96. He was left stranded on 96 by Muhammad Irfan. Pakistan made a good comeback with bowling. I remember Wahab Riaz bowling a really fast spell. I think maybe that's the fastest I have seen him bowl, even faster than he was in Adelaide in that quarterfinal against Australia. But unfortunately, Pakistan could not win. It was a very disastrous tour for Pakistan. They lost all three games. They lost to South Africa as well in Birmingham and then to India. Uh, so yeah, I think all of us, we are missing some live cricket. We are missing tours. But what we can do right now is some online interviews as we are doing right now.
And presumably, you won't be covering the series in England coming up. Uh,
Yeah, actually, I wanted to, but right now the visas they are closed. Pakistan team they had some special permission from the government, from maybe from the UK government as well. So it was a special case. But if somebody wants to go there as a media person, I don't think that they are even issuing some accreditations
yes, yes. There's an
this
email
year.
sent.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and secondly, I mean, if even if they allow me to cover the games, the problem is to apply for the visa and then get it and then to go there on visit visa, which is also very difficult right now. But the situation is improving. I'm hearing that they are also resuming county cricket from August, and also hearing that maybe from next month they will open up the visa services as well, provided that Pakistan they contain the virus or they have a proper system to test people or the passengers who are traveling to other countries. So hopefully, in couple of months, the situation will be much better, and cricket will resume in a way that we will be able to cover it.
So, as things currently stand, you're not coming to England for for the Test series. As
Yeah,
things
I
stand.
won't be. I mean, as of now, I won't be. But if they open the visa services in the next couple of weeks or before August, then I might think about it.
Now, you know all the key Pakistan commentators like Ramiz Raja, Bazid Khan. Who's going to be the visiting commentator for the coming series?
I really don't know. I'm not really sure that if there will be any. Maybe Ramesh Bhai, but I'm not really sure. I haven't talked to him about it. But also, I'm hearing that even the commentators there, I mean the British commentators, they won't be allowed to talk to the players. That's what I heard maybe last month. I'm not sure that if they are going to change it, but they just want to keep the players and the officials in a bubble. So they don't want anyone from outside that bubble to come near to them. As we are seeing that the press conferences that ECB they are conducted, all of them they are online. So I think that even if there is cricket, when there is live cricket, I'm not really sure that if the commentators they will be able to interview players after the game or after the day.
And looking ahead to the series, one battle I'm looking forward to is James Anderson versus Shan Masood. Who I think Anderson's got him 15 for six. Like he's got dismissed him six times in 57 balls. How do you see that one going? And obviously, Shan will be aware of that. Anderson will no doubt be aware of that, and Shan will know people will be talking about it if he gets dismissed in the first test by Anderson. Just how much pressure is that going to put on him? Obviously, he's an improved player now, but it's going to be interesting that battle resuming after
Yeah, I think that it will be playing on his mind, on Chan's mind, and there will be pressure. But as you said, that he's a much better player now. He's an improved player now. He just scored a century recently in the season, and if we look at his numbers in the recent times, even in domestic cricket, he looks a completely different player. I think that he's even better player in 50 overs cricket, and he should have been part of Pakistan's one-day setup a year ago. He should have been there in maybe in World Cup as well ahead of Imamul Haq. they gave him 5 games against Australia, which was a very high pressure series because everybody was playing for his World Cup spot. And we saw some players even scoring centuries just to secure their places in that squad. So I think that that was unfair with the Shan that you gave him just 5 games when everyone, I mean, almost every batsman's position was online apart from Babar Azam. So I think that he's a much better player for ODI cricket. He's an improved player in Test cricket as well. So it will be really interesting to see him bat against James Anderson this time.
And talking of Fawad Alam, who's in the squad and might get an opportunity in this series, I think he's had 87 tests since he's last played. Is that the longest gap in for Pakistan cricket? I know.
I think Yunus Ahmed, in terms of years, Yunus Ahmed, he had the longest gap because he was called after maybe, I think, 15 years, if I can recall correctly. But yeah, I mean, for Fawad is a very, I mean, his journey in cricket is really interesting. I mean, he last played his test match in 2009 in New Zealand. And of all the players, of all Pakistan players who have scored centuries on debut, he is the least capped player. He has played just 3 test matches, which is quite surprising because they made him open the batting. He is not a regular opener, and they made him open the batting in Sri Lanka. He scored a century in that game. After that, he played 2 more test matches. They drafted them. They drafted him at number 3, which was also unfair because he was not a number 3 batsman, and New Zealand of all places, and he failed there. And since then, he hasn't been able to make a comeback in the playing 11, although he has been part of Pakistan squads over the years. But still, I think that he might not fit into
Yeah.
the playing 11 because I think
Five
that
bowlers.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
yeah, Pakistan, they're going, they will be playing with 5 batsmen, and they want to have 5 batsmen and a keeper, and then they want to have an all-rounder, which I think will be Fahim Ashraf because of his seam bowling. So I think that the openers will be Shan Masood and Abid Ali. It's a no-brainer because Abid Ali has been in terrific form. It will be a challenge for him to play outside Pakistan, but still I think he has done enough uh, to be part of Pakistan's playing 11 anywhere in the world. Shan Masood, as we have talked about him, then there's Azhar Ali captain, Babar Azam, Asad Shafiq at 5. Number 6 will be your wicket keeper. I think Muhammad Rizwan. He has been tested negative twice now for COVID, so I think he will be traveling to England very soon as well. And then there will be an all-rounder in the form of Fahim Ashraf, most probably, because he's the only seam bowling all-rounder in the squad. And then you have 1 spinner and 3 fast bowlers. So I think it will still be difficult for Fawad to get into this playing 11.
Okay. And here today, it was the India-England World Cup match, and that was a special match for you because Michael Atherton was on air, and the camera went towards you. You were sort of the Pakistan representative because everyone knew what was riding on that game. That must have been a special moment in your career to have Michael Atherton
Yeah,
on air.
it was very kind of Mike Atherton to mention me, and in fact, he asked the TV director to put camera on me because he wanted to have some fun, and also, I mean, before the game, he even talked to Virat Kohli about this fact that today everybody in
Yeah.
Pakistan will be rooting for India, and not just Pakistan. In fact, the entire subcontinent, they wanted India to win that game, and I think that was a very interesting game. It could have been more interesting had MS Dhoni took some risk. He played very strange innings, but he has played this sort of innings before as well. A lot of people they thought that maybe he did it on purpose to remove the possibilities of Pakistan qualifying for the semi-finals. But I think that was very unfair comment because I've seen Dhoni play
Yeah.
similar innings in the past as well. There was a game in Lords in 2018,
Yeah. Yeah.
a one-day game between India and England, and he played a similar knock there. And before that, in 2017, there was a game in Antigua,
Yeah.
and if I can recall correctly, he played 100 consecutive balls without hitting a boundary in a one-day match. So that's his style. I mean, he backs himself to score even 20 runs in the last over, or maybe 30 runs in the last 2 overs. He has done it. There was an IPL game when he scored more than 20 runs in the last over to win the game. So, but yeah, I mean, everybody in Pakistan, they wanted India to win, just like in Champions Trophy in 2009. Everybody in India wanted Pakistan to win against Australia. It did not happen, and this time, Pakistan, they were on the receiving end, but it was a great game.
And presumably, because you were working on that game, you didn't cover the game the previous day between Pakistan and Afghanistan in Leeds.
Yeah, I did not. I was in Birmingham, and in fact, I was at Edgbaston's media box watching that game with British press. I remember Shield Berry sitting there,
Yeah.
and I was talking to him about that game. England, they wanted Afghanistan to win because Pakistan, they could have qualified for the semi-final on the basis of run rate. So everybody who was supporting England, they wanted Afghanistan to win. And at one stage, it seemed that Pakistan will lose. But that over by Gulbuddin Naib, I think he went for 18 runs that just changed the game. And then we should not forget Wahab Riaz's role in that innings, the way he hit that six of Rashid Khan. That was a wonderful cameo as well. But Imad Wasim, he held his nerves, and Pakistan won that game. I think maybe that was Pakistan's best game in the World Cup. Even though, in terms of magnitude, maybe that win against New Zealand was even better, or win against England. But if we talk about thrillers or close contests, I think that was Pakistan's best game in that World Cup.
Now, in this role and profession you've adopted, often you have to cover less glamorous games when big games are on. For example, 2015 World Cup, India were playing Pakistan in Adelaide, but correct me if I'm wrong, you were doing South Africa, Zimbabwe in Hamilton that day
Yeah,
instead.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And
So sometimes you have
that
to miss
was,
out on these big games and cover less glamorous games. It's not all
yeah,
fun.
but I think that's the nature of the job. You cannot complain. I mean, there will still be a lot of people who will want to cover World Cup, and if in fact I did not cover any Pakistan game in that World Cup. I went to see Pakistan Australia quarterfinal in a you can say that I wasn't working on that game, but I just went there to see the game as a fan. But as far as working is concerned, I did not cover any Pakistan game in that World Cup. So when India were playing against Pakistan in Adelaide, you are right that I was in Hamilton. That was also a very good game. David Miller, he scored his first World Cup century, and he had a great partnership with JP Domini. And luckily, that was a day game, so it finished around like 4 or 5 in the evening, and then I got to see the second innings of Pakistan India game. But I think that it's better that I wasn't in Adelaide.
And you mentioned you sometimes go to the ground without accreditation as a fan. Um, is that as a paying spectator for the love of the game? You still like to attend games, even if
So
you're not.
actually, what happened in that game or in that tournament was I had a connecting flight from Melbourne. So I was flying back after that group stage of World Cup in New Zealand. I was flying back to home. So I had a transit in Melbourne. So I extended that transit to 4 or 5 days because I wanted to see Australia as well. I was just based in New Zealand for that World Cup. I did not do any game in Australia. I was just in New Zealand. So because I had a transit in Melbourne, I had some friends there. But yeah, I traveled to Adelaide on my own expenses. I booked a hotel there on my own expenses. Tariq Said was with me, the famous radio commentator. So he was with me as well. So we spent 4 or 5 days in Australia. So yeah, sometimes you have to spend money from your own pocket. Even the first tour I did in 2013 to South Africa and then to England. It was from my own pocket. So sometimes for the love of game, you have to shell out money.
And I think you shared a photo on social media during the 2019 World Cup. There was a game in Manchester, and you attended as a fan. Am I right in saying that?
Not really,
On
because
the on the stands.
oh yeah. You are right. You are talking about Pakistan India game. That's
Okay.
right. So we had a gap of like 3 or 4 days between our games in Birmingham. So Manchester is just like 2 hours bus
Yeah.
from Birmingham. So I just and it's very cheap. The traveling there is very cheap. So it was maybe just £4 or £5 bus from Birmingham to Manchester. So yeah, I spent some 5 or 6 hours there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that must be nice to be able to still go to the ground as a spectator, not think about work, and just enjoy the game.
Yeah, and I think that it was some like the crowd there. It was really good. I mean, sometimes people think that the crowd is dominated by Indian fans, but the stand I was in, it was like 50-50. So there was some friendly banter going on. The atmosphere was great. The game wasn't I'm actually. Uh, the game that disappointed me most was that Pakistan India game, not because Pakistan lost, but because of the way they played that game. I mean, everybody knew that batsmen like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, MS Dhoni, they're so good against spin. I did that stat at that time that Virat Kohli hasn't been dismissed by any Pakistan spinner in last 7 or 8 years since that 2011 World Cup. Uh, Same was the case with MS Dhoni as well. But still, Pakistan, they played with two spinners. Your best bowler in the tournament was Shaheen Afridi, and he didn't play that game. Haris Suhail was your second best batsman in the tournament after Babar Azam. He did not play that game. So, I mean, that's why I felt really disappointed with the way that the Pakistan played that World Cup.
And now coming on to the ICC World Test Championship, how much is Pakistan going to be affected by that drawn Test match against Sri Lanka in Rawalpindi in terms of points? I think they missed out hugely in that Test match. I mean, they missed
Yeah,
out on 40 points.
they got 20 points for a draw.
Yeah.
They could have got 60. I mean,
Yeah.
if the teams they had taken a bold step and decided to forfeit the innings,
Yeah.
which frequently happens in county cricket because teams there they play for points. So it is the points is something new in Test cricket. I think that the captains and teams they will take some time to realize the importance of 20 and 60 points. I remember Mickey Arthur. He was obviously Sri Lanka's coach in that game, and
And his question asked,
he was asked that question, and he said that because there is a lot of controversy
yeah,
associated
fancy
with
Crawley.
because of that game in Centurion, so we don't want to do it. But interestingly, Muhammad Rizwan, who was Pakistan's wicketkeeper, he was also asked that question. I don't know that who was the presenter, maybe Bazid Khan or somebody else, and he said that if it was up to him, he would have forfeited the innings. And I think that there was some discussion in the dressing room as well. But because Pakistan, they had lost two games in Australia, they had 0 points. And it's new management, like Misbah was only like 3 or 4 months old into his coaching job. Captain was new, so they didn't want to take risks. But I can guarantee you that if there was a team like Australia or India or England, they would have thought about it.
You touched on Misbah there. He made a comment before the Test match in Karachi against Sri Lanka. I think it was Shahid Hashmi asked him that India is on so many points, Australia is on so many points. How do you see the concept of the World Test Championship? And he mentioned that जो टीम ज़्यादा क्रिकेट खेलती है और ज़्यादा घर में खेलती है उनको advantage है. And I just found it odd that a coach could say that because there are more points available for Test wins in shorter series, and every team will play the same number of home and away series. Do you think he lacked his research on that?
Well, I don't really remember him saying that. To be very honest, this is first time that I'm hearing that. Although I follow him and his press conferences very closely, but for some odd reason I missed that part. But if he said that, then I think that it's a very bizarre comment, and it doesn't bode well for a person of his stature, because he's always thinking about cricket. And that's a fair point that the teams who are playing less games, they are at advantage, because if you win two-game series 1-0, or in other words, the possibility of winning a two-game series, possibility of winning a two-game series 1-0 is much more than possibility of winning a five-match series 3-2 or 1-0. So I think that the teams who are playing less games, they are at advantage. And as far as home and away series are concerned, all teams, they are playing equal number of home series, equal number of away series. So I think that because it's still something new, players and captains and coaches, they will take some time to realize the importance of points and the system of this championship. But right now, as things stand, I don't really see that final happening next year at Lords. because a lot of series they are being postponed. Pakistan's one test match, we don't know that when that game will be played between Pakistan and Bangladesh. There are a lot of other series that have been postponed. So we don't really know that what's going to happen with the Test Championship.
You say that, but there wasn't that much Test cricket due to be played in April and May. I mean, Test Championship hasn't been that badly affected from coronavirus based on a series of.
Yeah, but we don't know about future either. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't really know that if Pakistan will be able to host South Africa for those test matches, and we don't really know that if Pakistan will be traveling to New Zealand later in the year. I know that situation right now, New Zealand is much better, maybe best in the world, but still their borders they are closed, and whether they are ready to take this risk of calling international teams for cricket, even though we are still like 5-6 months away, but we don't really know that what's going to happen. I hope that the situation is now improving and we will see some more Test cricket. England they have sort of secured their season. But still, I mean, they have some away cricket coming up as well. How that will happen, right now we are not sure about it.
And as things currently stand, and given the series that are remaining, who are your two teams to make the final at this stage? Is it India, Australia, Australia, New Zealand, India, New Zealand? Who do you fancy in the final next year?
I
Assuming the series
think
gets played.
I think India and Australia they have a very good chance. Australia, we know that right now they look a very balanced team because of their bowling. Uh, Steve Smith and David Warner are back, and I think uh, I think maybe New Zealand, Australia, and India. These three teams, they right now, even though India lost badly in New Zealand, but I think that these three teams they could be in contention for that final.
And you touched on Pakistan due to play two Test matches in New Zealand this year as well. What's going to be the harder tour? A tour of England or tour of New Zealand, in your opinion, as far as Test cricket goes?
I think tour of England because Pakistan they will be playing sort of in conditions that do not suit them. I talked about this fact on Twitter as well that Pakistan's most of the success in England it has come in London at Lords and the Oval because of the slow nature of the pitches there. It it suits their style of batting. It suits their style of bowling as well. Outside London, Pakistan, they have won only two Test matches against England. One
Yeah,
was at Leeds in
87
Manchester 2001
and Leeds
when they
87.
were and Leeds 87 in 2001 there were a lot of no balls
Yeah.
and but still Pakistan Pakistan won that game. So Pakistan they struggle against England outside of London. So and also England is a much better team at home, especially now with Jofra Archer. Pakistan they will be playing against him in Test matches for the first time. So yeah, I think England tour will be more difficult.
Having said that, England, they're not ruthless at home, as in they don't lose series at home, but they do lose Test matches regularly. They've lost two Test matches every summer for 6 years running now. Like we've seen even West Indies win a Test match on their last tour, India winning a Test match on their last tour. Um, Teams are regularly winning Test matches in England, at least visiting teams, that is.
Yeah,
So they're
that's
not.
right. I think that I did that stat in 2018 before that Lord's Test match that England in their last seven series, in six out of their last seven home series, they had lost at least one game in every series. In six out of seven series. So yeah, these days I mean normally teams they dominate at home. They beat teams like 2-0, 3-0. But still, as I said, that because Pakistan they're not playing at the Oval and Lords, so that will be a challenge. But having said that, I mean Pakistan teams they will also be spending 1 month or maybe 40 days in England before that Test series. So that might also give Pakistan some advantage. But still, I think it's difficult to win three-match series when you compare it with the two-match series. Because even if Pakistan they win one Test match, England will have an opportunity to win that series because they will have two more games. In New Zealand, if Pakistan win just one game, they cannot lose the series. So I think that it's more difficult to win a three-game series compared to two-game series.
And what would constitute a successful result for Pakistan in the three test series? Will a 2-1 series defeat be a successful result in your view?
Not really. I mean, you cannot consider any sort of defeat a success. That's a mentality of smaller teams, or if I'm allowed to use this word, of minnows. I mean, when some team is in developing phase, we can expect them to lose with a small margin. But Pakistan is like, I mean, they have a good pedigree. They have been playing Test cricket for over 60 years. They have won so many series in England. Even in the last two tours, they have played six Test matches and they won three out of those. So they did not lose in 2016. They did not lose in 2018. So I think that it will be very unfair for, even if you're a Pakistan fan, it's an unfair thinking to think that, I mean, even if we are losing 2-1, it's a good result. They have to win. I'm not even talking about drawing the series. Their first preference should be to win the series. The like, I mean, Azhar Ali, he has been playing cricket for 10 years. Asad Shafiq has been around for 10 years. Shan Masood 7 years. Babar Azam 5 years. So it's not a young team. The bowling maybe is young, but they're highly talented bunch of fast bowlers, the likes of Shaheen Afridi. We saw him doing really well in that World Cup last year. Naseem Shah is a very good prospect. Abbas is there. Then Yasir Shah, he has experience of like 6 years now in Test cricket. So they have to win it.
Okay. And you touched on conditions perhaps not suiting Pakistan at the Ageas Bowl and Old Trafford like they would at Lords or Oval. But the fact is that they're going to only use two venues this summer, and by the time Pakistan play at Old Trafford in the first test, it will be the third test played there in a month. So the wicket, we can expect plenty of wear and tear to suit Pakistan's game, such as spin bowling and reverse swing. I think.
I I think three Test matches are okay because they're not playing any sort of county cricket now. So if you are playing three Test matches on one venue, I think that they might be using three different wickets because they're not going to. I don't think that they're going to play even two Test matches on the same wicket because most of the pitches they will be fresh.
Because usually they use the centre wicket for TV purposes at grounds, don't they?
Yeah, but still, I mean, they have like I think three or four wickets, or maybe two or three. So even if they have three, I know that Lords, it has in that square it has I think 16 wickets. Although all of them they cannot be used for TV purposes, but still they have 16 wickets, which they use for other purposes as well, like for nets, for knocking, for other things. So because there is no county cricket, there is no domestic cricket. So I think that the pitches will still be fresh.
Okay. And you mentioned Southampton as a venue. That's a bit of an unknown quantity as far as Test cricket is concerned. Only three Test matches have been played there, twice India and one Sri Lanka, and that could suit Pakistan. We've seen Moeen Ali have a lot of success at that venue against India.
Yeah, so Pakistan they will be playing there for the very first time. I mean, Test matches. They have played some ODIs there. In fact, I think Fakhar Zamani scored century in Southampton last year before in that bilateral series before World Cup. It's a high scoring venue when it comes to one day cricket, but in Test cricket, to be very honest, in the recent times there isn't any game which is on my mind from Southampton. But I think that because it's a new venue, so Pakistan they will be slightly at disadvantage because England they will be more used to those conditions.
Okay. And we've seen Yunus Khan now inducted into the coaching staff. That's an interesting selection. I mean, on his last England tour, he didn't have a great series. He only really produced when Pakistan couldn't win the series in that final test series. In that final test of that series, they could only draw the series. And in one days, he's not done particularly well in his career, particularly in the second half of his career in one-day cricket. It's important that they restrict his coaching to Test cricket, isn't it? Um, do you agree with that?
Well, no, I think that if somebody hasn't done well in one day cricket himself, it doesn't mean that he won't be a good coach. Because we are now seeing coaches in cricket who haven't even played cricket. the likes of Trent Woodhill. He hasn't played any international cricket, but right now he's considered as one of the better coaches in the world. And he even worked with Pakistan as well in that 2013 Champions
Yes.
Trophy.
I think mostly
And
recommended.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he coached David Warner as well. So Warner, we know that he's an aggressive player. So I don't think that if somebody who hasn't done well himself in T20s or one days, he cannot do better as a coach. Yunus Khan, I think he's a very good person to be in the camp. We will get to know about his coaching very soon. But a lot of players, especially youngsters, they are comfortable when Yunus Khan is around. The likes of Shan Masood, Ahmed Shahzad, they did well when Yunus Khan was around. Uh, in fact, we can see this in partnerships as well. When Shan Masood scored that century in Palakele, Yunus Khan was on the other end. When Ahmed Shahzad scored that century against Australia in 2014, Yunus Khan was on the other end. So he's a sort of player who can motivate youngsters. So I think he's a very good man to be in the Pakistan camp.
And what was the worst selection in your view? Yunus for the 2015 World Cup or Malik for the 2019 World Cup?
Mm, that's a very tough question actually, but I think both of them. Both of them. Maybe Yunus Khan slightly more because Yunus wasn't even in Pakistan's one-day setup, and he was just brought in the team. I don't know why. And then even was that they made him open the batting in that all important game against India. I mean, we wait for that game for 4 years, and Pakistan, they have never won a World Cup, and sorry, they have never beaten India in World Cup. So, and just because you want to accommodate a player, you made him open the innings. I think that was really bizarre. In fact, ridiculous. I should say. Uh, the teams and players, they should be above that. That was very unfair call. And then Shoaib Malik, I think that Yunus Khan was more was selection because Shoaib was at least in Pakistan's one-day setup. The only problem with him was that he had poor record in England, and a player like Haris Sohail was out of the team because of him. Both were poor selections, but Yunus Khan slightly more.
You've highlighted on Twitter that Shoaib Malik last made a score of 50 or more in an ICC tournament. Do you think the PCB are aware of that? And do you, in your profession, try to make them aware of these sort of stats?
Not really. I mean, it's not my job to tell anyone in PCB that he hasn't scored a 50 in last 10 years in ICC events. That's not my job, and I shouldn't be doing it. But I'm sure that the management, the coaches, the selectors, uh, I mean, captain, everyone, they know that Malik, he hasn't performed in the recent years as he used to do in 2005 or 2006. He was a great batsman. I mean, Pakistan, they have won so many games just because of Shoaib Malik, especially against India. We talk about that series in India in 2005. Malik's role was very crucial in that series. He scored that great century against India in Asia Cup in 2004. In 2009 Champions Trophy, he scored that century in Centurion. His services, they cannot be discarded in any way. But the fact is that in the last 10 years, he hasn't been able to perform as he used to do in the past. And Pakistan, they should look at other options. When you have the likes of Haris Sohail, I'm just giving you an example from the previous World Cup that Haris Sohail, he scored 2 centuries in Australia. Against Australia in UAE, and his average was good. He had all the potential to be in the team, but he was sitting out only because Pakistan wanted experience, and experience works only when it is functional. You cannot win games just because of experience. I have cited this example before that you take any example of Pakistan taking a player to World Cup based on his experience, it has never worked. 1996 World Cup, Javed Miadag didn't work. Basit Ali, he should have been in the team at that time. 99 World Cup, Salim Malik. Well, people think that Pakistan, they had a great team in 99, but Muhammad Yusuf, he got injured in that World Cup. And because he got injured, Pakistan had to play Salim Malik against India, and they lost that game. And when Malik did not perform, Pakistan had to go with Shahid Afridi in World Cup final. Shahid Afridi wasn't in Pakistan's first choice 11 at that time. He was dropped during the World Cup, but he played in the final only because Yusuf was injured and there was no other suitable middle order batsman in the team. So 2003, Saeed Anwar, people say that he scored century against India in Centurion. That was a highly selfish innings. I'm sorry to say that Pakistan. One of the reasons that Pakistan lost that game was because of that innings. He scored that. He played 120 balls and hits just 7 boundaries. I mean, you look at the history in Centurion. No batsman plays 120 balls there and hit 7 boundaries. It's a very batting friendly wicket. Uh, then you come to 2011 World Cup. In fact, Shahid Afridi, he made a bold decision. He rested Shoaib Akhtar, he dropped Shoaib Akhtar and played Wahab Riaz, and he took 5 wickets. So you have to take such decisions. Experience works only when it is functional. I'm repeating that. And then in 2015, Yunus Khan experience didn't work. 2019, Shoaib Malik. You have to be bold to give those players chance who are doing better than experienced players.
Okay, so just changing topic now. What's going to happen, do you think, to the ODI Super League that they were due to start, and Pakistan were due to play 3 ODIs in Netherlands, in fact, starting in July originally, but obviously that's not going to happen now. Do you think they have to shelve this league now?
Well, again, I'm not really sure because we don't really know that when cricket will be able to resume properly. We have seen just today that Australia, they have postponed their series against Zimbabwe, which was supposed to be played in Australia in August. A lot of series they are being postponed. Uh, Sorry.
And that was part of the ODI Super League originally.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'm not sure, but I think
Yeah,
so because there are 13 teams in the Super League. So then India, they are due to tour Sri Lanka in August. Their series against South Africa was postponed in March. A lot of series they are being postponed. So I think that the ideal situation will be to postpone every series. I mean every ODI series to 1 year. So let's say that if the ODI series or the ODI Super League was starting from July 2020, started from July 2021. But then there will be some logistic issues, FTP issues. I'm not really sure that how it is going to work, but I hope that they don't do away with this idea because it's a great idea. It's really good to have context in every game, in every series. They should consider to postpone it, but they shouldn't be doing away with it.
How big a blow do you think Kevin Roberts is going to be from a PCB point of view? Because he visited Pakistan and the PCB were trying to get him on side to send the side to Pakistan in 2022, but obviously he's left his role now with Cricket Australia. In terms of trying to convince Australia to come to Pakistan in 2022, is Kevin Roberts' departure a big blow?
Well, I think that it's more to do with the government's guidelines. To be very honest, I know that the cricket chiefs they visit various countries, but Australia, as far as the government is concerned, if you look at the guidelines for the citizens of traveling abroad, they they tell their citizens that travel to Pakistan only when it is necessary. So I think that it's more to do with government. Same goes with the teams like New Zealand. So I think that once their government they think that their citizens they're safe to travel to Pakistan, I think only then the tour will happen.
Okay. I know you've got another commitment after this. I'm just aware of the time. I'll just wrap it up shortly. Another question I wanted to ask was about the Gaddafi Stadium and how come it's not been renamed yet? And is it on the agenda at all to rename the stadium?
Well, I think that I'm not the right person to ask this question. I've seen some people on Twitter complaining about it, but I mean, it's a political thing because right now, if they change it, it will get more eyeballs. So people will again be talking about the
Oh,
past incidents and everything. So I think that they just want to keep it as it is. I'm not really sure actually about it because I've never actually thought about it, but I've seen some people ranting against Pakistan because of this stadium. But this is first time that I'm being asked this question. So I think that now I will think about it so that I can give that if I'm asked this question again, so that I have a proper answer.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I ever interview Wasim Khan, that's going to be one of my first questions on my mind. Renaming the Gaddafi Stadium. He comes
Yeah, I
across as
think
the
that
type.
he will be the right person to ask that question.
He comes across as the type of person who will actually think about it and see the merits of making a change in such a thing. Uh, Obviously, Black Lives Matter campaign is happening at the moment. What can Pakistan cricket do in order to address this issue? One thing I can think of is they must ban this Kali Andi phrase that they use for the West Indies. What's your take?
Well, Pakistan cricket, they have nothing to do with it. Pakistan cricket, I have never seen anyone in Pakistan cricket using that term.
Yeah.
All the Pakistan's media, I think they are maybe naive or ignorant. They shouldn't be saying this. I think I remember I once tweeted about it maybe 7 or 8 years ago when I was new on Twitter. Maybe I posted on Facebook. I remember talking about it, that it's sort of racist term and they shouldn't, Pakistan's media, especially the Urdu newspapers, they shouldn't be doing it. As far as Pakistan is concerned, I think that PCB, they have done a great job regarding countering racist comments or things like that. Even in Pakistan stadiums, even during the PSL games, we see a lot of banners there, or a lot of announcements regarding such situations, that people, they shouldn't be passing any racist comments or things like that. So I think that Pakistan, they have done a very good job regarding that. And apart from that one-off incident which happened in South Africa recently when Sarfraz was banned, we haven't really seen any Pakistan player getting into trouble or making a mistake regards to that. So I think that Pakistan, they have done a very good job uh, in making people or fans aware about this situation.
Okay, so penultimate question will be about Azhar Ali. He currently stands on 78 tests. How do you rate his chances of making the 100 test mark and becoming the sixth Pakistan cricketer to achieve the milestone?
I think he has a very good chance to complete century of Test matches. He is a Test specialist. He has retired from ODI cricket. He does not play T20 cricket, and I think that he can still play for 4 or 5 years, depending on his fitness. He had a rough patch recently, but I think that he has all the potential to play 100 Test matches.
Okay, and to round things off, just a couple of predictions for firstly England West Indies and England Pakistan. And as a final comment, do you expect Pakistan to provide a tougher challenge to England than the West Indies?
Yeah, I do. I think because Pakistan's batting is more experienced. They love playing in England, all of them. Babar, he had a great World Cup as well, even though it was 50 overs cricket. But we should not forget his that knock of
Yeah,
60 odd runs
yeah.
at Lords in 2018. He got injured after that, and unfortunately, he did not play in Leeds. But for someone so young, playing his first Test match in England, I think he did really well. And well, right now he's one of the best players in the world, easily one of the best in the world. He scored century in Australia in Brisbane, 97 in Adelaide. He has 4 centuries in his last 5 Test matches. So Babar's experience is there, Babar's talent is there, Azhar's experience. Opening might be a bit of an issue, but then every visiting team that comes to UK, they normally struggle with the openers. But I think that even if Pakistan openers can provide like uh, 30, 40 runs, stand consistently, that will be a very good job by Abid Ali and Shan Masood. Bowling is very good. In fact, I'm very excited to see Shaheen and Naseem Shah bowl together in England. Abbas, I hope that he's not a spent force, even though he struggled a bit in the last season. He also struggled a bit, or not really struggled, but his season in county cricket wasn't as good as the season year before. So I'm very actually excited to see this Pakistan's bowling lineup uh, to ball in the conditions that suit them. So I think that Pakistan, they will play better cricket than West Indies.
Okay, thank you, Mazher, then, for going through those questions, and we look forward to seeing you in England, if not this year, next year when Pakistan are due to play 3 ODIs next year. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Abdullah.